Well, let's take let's talk just maybe a few seconds about what perhaps his speech, the president's speech, would entail. We hear earlier that the president will reaffirm Nigeria's commitment to global peace, security, development. We, of course, know what is happening in the country, and perhaps support for IDPs, the recent flooding, and factors mitigating climate change. What else do you anticipate?
Oh, well, you got it spot on, all right? You probably even stretched it and extended it. I'll be surprised if our president is talking about climate change. All right, because on our list of priorities right now, as much as we empathize with the people in Makurdi and in Benue State, we have some major other issues. All right, in the northeast, and we're about establishing a northeastern commission in Nigeria, just like we have Niger Delta. I don't know, maybe one of these days we won't have the southwestern commission again. So the president has carefully articulated from the feelers we are getting, all right? It will look like if we are talking about terrorism, we are talking about Boko Haram, we are talking about the early marriages. We are not going to run away from that anymore in northern Nigeria. Those are the issues. Some achievements will dance around that, especially from agriculture, which has witnessed a boom in, say, the last 6 months to 1 year. So we have good news. At the same time, we have pressing needs that need to be addressed at this time.
But still talking about this debate currently going on, what do you make of the response of the United Nations to African countries?
Oh, well, I'll say to you that we've got to a point where the United Nations itself seems bogged down by the multifaceted challenges coming out of Africa. I mean, each region of Africa currently has its own peculiar problems, okay? You're talking about UN peacekeeping. It would seem to anyone that that's probably the only thing United Nations does. Nigeria also contributes its own quota, all right, to peacekeeping, okay? That's on one hand. You have so many other challenges coming from Central African Republic, coming from even Ivorian crisis. We just came out of Ivorian crisis. Liberia, rebuilding Liberia, Sierra Leone, and all of that, trying to enthrone democracy, all right? And then also skirmishes, internal skirmishes in all of those countries. You are talking about xenophobia and all of that. So United Nations would seem as if it became bogged down, all right? And Nigeria, incidentally, always complimented the efforts of the United Nations, all right, with ECOWAS, okay, and all of that, with the African Union. Nigeria you could rely on Nigeria, okay, to act as the hands and the feet and the eyes of United Nations in Africa. But all of a sudden, Nigeria too now has its own internal challenges. Imagine if we have now to deploy soldiers, okay, for peacekeeping. We will first have to think of Operation Crocodile Smile in the South. We have to think of Python Dance too in the East. So United Nations needs Nigeria at this time to resolve its own internal crisis and then be able to complement and support it in trying to give Africa a face. Africa is the home of the world.
We also hear that the African Union will be having a session of their own on the demographics of the continent. But with this, and looking at Nigeria and the United Nations reforms, do you think that there is a likelihood that we will get a seat in the United Nations?
I wouldn't have wanted to go spiritual, all right? So if you ask me, honestly, because if you're asking me to make a prediction, Nigeria is not going to get it. I mean, the place where I come from, Yorubas will say, you take your jewels from the home, it's on you. Okay, if you want to have another one, if you want to clothe me, I'll see what you are wearing. All right, so for Nigeria to get a seat on the Security Council, Nigeria that is plagued by Boko Haram in the northeast, which has even broken into splinters and factions, and which a certain part of the country is saying we want to secede, we want a referendum. You don't want to put that kind of volatile country on the Security Council. I don't think it's possible. Our transition, our effective, peaceful transition, all right, in 2019, hopefully that happens, may encourage that Nigeria gets a seat on the UN Security Council. No, I don't see it.
Let's take a look at the 2017 theme of the United Nations General Assembly, talking about placing the human being at the heart of efforts for peace and a decent life for all on a sustainable planet.
All right, now again, if you look at that, that's, for me, it looks like for the first time, all right? Now, we are not talking only about climate change and all of that. For the first time, we are talking about the real issues. You want to make the world a safe place. The only reason why the world will be safe is because there are still humans in it. All right, so it's very excellent that this is about the man. This is about the human being. All right, this is about complementing human existence, okay, with the very perfect healthy environment Okay, now there's some of the breakouts from the theme which would seem a little lopsided. I'll say the truth. I hope I don't get crucified for this. Even men in Nigeria need help. We've been talking about women, rights of women and all of that. Even the men require help. Okay, so one of the things that the United Nations must understand as a group is that we cannot possibly have uniform development and uniform standards for everybody. And you're going to soon find that out. There are some things that will come out after this General Assembly that will shock a lot of people, all right? North Korea and its preparation for nuclear program, preparation, conclusion on nuclear program and all of that, you cannot use your standard. A global standard won't work. United States and China in a couple of countries have economic powers. North Korea doesn't have any economic power, all right? So the only thing it has is going to build on. Africa, what would Africa stand up for? I'm hoping, all right, because with this present administration, we are talking about agriculture and all of that. We are hoping that someday we can say we will hold the world stage if we don't export our farm produce. So those are the things that will come out of these things. Nigeria should be thinking in that direction. How do I earn to be a member of the Security Council? It's not going to be given to you on a platter. Nothing is free.
But to think that most of the time, a lot of African leaders have only commented on issues relating to the continent, perhaps not international issues. Should they have a say, especially?
Oh yes, there's no doubt that they should have a say. There's no doubt about that. It's what I'm saying. Because whether you have a say or not, the world is planning for you. The world is planning for you whether you contribute or you are not contributing. The truth of the matter is that for you to be where you need to challenge the rest of the world, you have to make your home ready. You have to make your home ready. I mean, in a place where we talk about bureaucracy, we sacrifice merits on bureaucracy. In Nigeria, we are still talking about federal character. We are still talking about quota system and all of that. We are reducing cutoff marks.
One question I want to ask. I think this is United Nations Secretary General who talked about refugees, IDPs, migrants not being the problem, but what the problem is the conflict, the persecution, and he said the hopeless poverty. Where is the human compassion, do you see?
Exactly. So you see, and that's what I'm saying. Trump came into his administration and said, no more handouts. And he stood by it. I'm not giving anything. He said, we must rebuild Africa. We must, America. We must make America great again. Guterres is saying to you, do not expect our aids anymore. Go around the states. Before now, in the last administration, we had many World Bank projects ongoing. Nowadays, we are the consultants. You hardly get any World Bank project anywhere. Even the states are not viable to get foreign intervention. So Guterres, the UN Secretary General, is saying to you, put your house in order. Don't say to me that, oh, you want Germany to keep its borders open so that when you are fleeing Tunisia and you are fleeing Turkey, they will accept you with open arms. We know, and it will seem as if it's some kind of deja vu. When Trump was talking about terrorism in the last 6 months, it seemed like it was crying wolf. But we see it now. It's almost on a weekly basis. London has been twice attacked. All right, Belgium has suffered attack. France has suffered attack 2 times. Germany has suffered attack once. That's apart from the ongoing crisis you have in Afghanistan and a lot of other Asian countries. So we cannot keep saying that, oh, open your doors to us. Oh, give us the aids and all of that. No, we have to transcend and transit from that position to the point of being responsible. Being responsible to say, oh, we have the structures needed to keep our people here. There's no need to flee anymore. Can we honestly and truthfully say that is the case right now? All
right, I guess we'll leave that hanging. Thank you so much, Mr. Yinka Oyeniji, for joining us on Network Africa. Right. And that's it on the program, but just also to remind you, we're still covering the 72nd United Nations General Assembly that's underway in New York, and President Muhammadu Buhari will be speaking any time from now. So keep listening to Channels Television. I'm Millicent Walker.